Nobody ever warns you that one quiet morning, while you're minding your own business and trying to drink a lukewarm cup of diner coffee in peace, a stranger might walk in, look straight into your eyes, say your full name out loud, Hoban Williams, and then whisper the one sentence you've spent your entire life running from. A sentence no living soul should have known, yet somehow he did. You weren't alone that night. I remember the exact moment it happened, the way the diner door chimed with that tired little bell, the kind that always sounds like it's sighing, the way the sunlight hit the counter in long yellow stripes, the way my hands shook just slightly as I held the cup, trying to pretend 60-something years of living hadn't made me as fragile as I felt inside. I wasn't expecting anyone. I wasn't hiding, not officially, not in a way the world would have noticed, but emotionally, spiritually, quietly, I had been hiding for decades. From my past, from my own name, from the things I wished I'd never seen. I thought I had finally built a life small enough, invisible enough, safe enough that nobody would ever come looking again. And then he walked in. He was maybe mid-40s, clean-cut but tired-looking, the kind of man who'd seen too much but learned to carry it without stumbling. He wore a charcoal coat, unbuttoned despite the cold, and his hair had that messy, "I slept in the car last night" look. I didn't pay him any mind at first, not until he scanned the room and headed straight for me like he'd been following invisible tracks only he could see. I lowered my cup. Something in my chest tightened. There's a particular fear that only comes when someone knows your real name in a place where nobody should. Months earlier, I'd introduced myself to the locals as Robert. Nothing more, nothing less. A quiet retiree with slow steps and soft eyes. A man who fed the stray cat behind the hardware store. A man with a simple life and a simpler story. But the stranger didn't say Robert. He said Robin. And not as a question, no hesitation, no uncertainty, just solid, undeniable recognition. "You're Robin Williams," he said again, softer now, sliding into the booth across from me without waiting for permission. The same Robin from the Ridgewood fire, the same one they questioned, the same one who left town the very next day. My heart felt like it stopped, then started again too fast. The diner around me blurred. Ridgewood. Nobody had spoken that word to me in 33 years. And the fire was the reason I'd left. The reason the worst night of my life still lived under my skin like a splinter too deep to pull out. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay steady. "You have the wrong man," I said, but even I could hear the tremor beneath the denial. He leaned back, studying me with a sharpness that made my stomach twist. "You dyed your hair, you lost weight, your voice is rougher. But the eyes," he pointed, "same eyes, same guilt." My breath hitched. Guilt, that word, spoken so casually, so fearlessly, nearly knocked the air out of me. I hadn't heard it since the day I fled. I thought I'd grown thicker skin, built walls, buried the memories deep enough. But guilt never stays quiet, not for long. "What do you want?" I whispered. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his coat and placed a folded piece of newspaper on the table. I stared at it, reluctant to touch it, as if it might burn me the way the flames did that night. With trembling fingers, I slowly unfolded the page-old yellowed edges crisp from age. A photo stared back at me. A charred building, firefighters dragging hoses, and in the bottom corner, grainy and small, barely visible, a younger me, shock in my eyes, ash on my clothes, a hand raised to my face as if I were trying to wipe the night away. "I've seen this picture 100 times, the stranger said quietly, "and I always wondered what you were looking at, what you were hiding, why you never told anyone the whole truth." His voice softened. "You weren't alone that night, Robin." And there it was again, the sentence that ripped me open, the sentence nobody living should have known. Rage and fear surged inside me, fighting for space. "Who are you?" My voice cracked. He held my gaze long enough to make the air between us feel electric. "My name doesn't matter," he said. "Not yet. What matters is that someone else is looking for you too." My blood went cold. "Someone else," he nodded. "Someone who doesn't want the truth coming out." His voice dropped even lower, almost whispering, "And they're closer than you think." I felt the room tilt. A dizzy wave washed over me. For years, I'd convinced myself the fire was over, that the secrets died with the building, that the people involved had moved on or forgotten. But I'd been wrong, dead wrong. My hands trembled so badly I had to set my cup down. The stranger leaned forward. "You were supposed to testify, Robin. You were supposed to tell the investigators what you saw in that house before it burned." My throat closed. "I didn't see anything." He tilted his head. "You really want to do this?" His gaze was sharp enough to slice through 30 years of lies. "Fine, let me help you remember. You were there that night because she called you. She begged you to come. You arrived at 11:42 p.m. You saw the lights on. You heard shouting. You went inside. I felt nausea hit me like a punch, memories clawing their way up. Stop. She wasn't supposed to die, he said calmly, ignoring my plea. You weren't supposed to run, and the truth wasn't supposed to stay buried. My chest tightened painfully. I hadn't heard her name spoken aloud since no, I couldn't go there. Not yet. He slid something else across the table, a small silver necklace. The pendant shaped like a crescent moon. My breath shattered. Where did you get that? I whispered. She wore it the night she died, he said. And someone left it for you. Left it on your porch yesterday. A sharp tremor raced through me. Nobody knew where I lived. Nobody, not after all these years. The stranger's expression softened. Robin, whoever is looking for you now, they're not doing it to help you. I sat frozen, gripping the edge of the table as the world around me faded into background noise, couples talking, plates clinking, the hiss of bacon on a grill. Everything felt far away. He leaned closer, voice barely audible. You spent 33 years haunted by a secret you thought you were protecting, but she didn't die because of you. She died because of what she tried to tell you. A tear escaped my eye before I could stop it. Why now? I whispered. Why come after all this time? He exhaled slowly. Because someone has decided the truth needs to stay buried. And you, Robin, you're the last loose thread. My stomach twisted painfully. What are they going to do? He didn't blink. They're going to finish what they started. The diner suddenly felt too bright, too loud, too exposed. I scanned the windows, half expecting a silhouette to appear. Someone watching, waiting. The stranger saw my panic. You need to leave, he said firmly. Not tomorrow. Not tonight. Now where would I even go? He stood slowly, casting a long shadow across the booth. There's one person left who can tell you everything. One person who knows why she called you that night. One person who knows who set the fire. My breath hitched. Who? He hesitated, eyes darkening. Her brother. My chest tightened. He left town years ago. No, the stranger said quietly. He didn't leave. He disappeared. What do you mean disappeared? He leaned in so close I could feel his breath on my ear. He's been missing for 30 years. And someone wants to make sure you're next. Bivar could respond. Before I could ask the 1,000 questions rising inside me like a tidal wave, the stranger slipped out of the booth, walked to the door, and paused. He looked back one last time. Robin, whatever you do, don't go home. The bell chimed as he left. I sat frozen, staring at the crescent moon necklace, my hands trembling uncontrollably. For the first time in 33 years, I wasn't hiding from my past. My past was coming for me. I sat there in that booth for what felt like a lifetime, staring at the crescent moon necklace lying in my shaking hands, the diner noise fading into a distant hum as if the universe itself was holding its breath while every mistake, every memory, every shadow I ran from clawed its way back into the present. Because the moment that stranger walked out the door, the life I had carefully built from silence and solitude began collapsing like a house made of brittle paper soaked in gasoline. I didn't stand right away. My knees wouldn't have held me. Instead, I pressed my thumb against the tiny scratch on the pendant. The scratch she got the night she dropped it, running down her front porch steps, laughing, barefoot, calling my name like nothing bad could ever touch us. She'd worn it every day after that, and the night she died, it wasn't around her neck. I remembered noticing that detail as I stumbled through smoke and heat, calling her name until my throat bled. No necklace, just flames, just her silhouette disappearing behind a wall of fire, her voice swallowed by something I still heard in my dreams. But now it was here, in my hand, untouched by soot, as if no time had passed at all. Someone had given it back to me, someone who shouldn't have had it. A waitress approached, concern creasing her brow. Sir, are you all right? I must have looked pale, lost, unraveling. I forced a nod. Just dizzy. She offered water, but I shook my head. I needed to leave before Ramirez or someone worse walked in. The stranger's words echoed through me like gunshots. You're the last loose thread. I pushed myself up, slipped the necklace into my pocket, left cash on the table, and stepped outside. The cold air slapped me awake. The sky was washed with grey clouds dragging across the sun, the kind of weather that always felt like the world was about to deliver bad news. The street looked normal, cars passing, a dog barking, a couple arguing, but something in the shadows made my skin prickle. I scanned the sidewalks, every face suddenly suspicious, every parked car a threat. That paranoid pricking behind my ribs, my old instinct had returned full force. Someone was watching. I could feel it. I pulled my coat tighter and started walking, heading nowhere in particular, just away. Away from the diner, away from the stranger, away from the truth he had dropped in my lap like a lit match. As I turned the corner, a black sedan eased onto the street behind me. The same model I'd seen years ago after the fire, the same model that had followed me the night before I left town for good. I kept walking, heartbeat rising. The car matched my pace, not close, but not far. Just observing, hunting without pouncing. I didn't speed up. That's how you show fear. Instead, I slipped into an alley beside an old bookstore and flattened myself against the brick wall. The sedan rolled past slowly, its tinted windows hiding the eyes inside. When it reached the end of the block, it turned right and disappeared. I exhaled shakily. They were back, whoever they were, and if the stranger was right, they had never stopped looking. My first instinct was to run home, pack a bag, disappear again. But his warning rang loud in my head. Whatever you do, don't go home. So I didn't. I headed toward the woods behind the town instead, where the trees were thick, the trails abandoned, and the only sounds were wind and birds, a place where voices from my past whispered whether I wanted them to or not. I walked fast, muscles tight, mind racing. The deeper I went, the more the smell of pine and damp leaves wrapped around me, comforting and unsettling at the same time. The forest had always held echoes of that night. The night I'd gone into the burning house, the night she'd called me crying, the night I saw someone inside with her, the night I wasn't supposed to see anything, the night everything changed. Back then Ridgewood was small enough that secrets traveled faster than smoke. Within hours of the fire, the town had already decided what happened. A tragic accident, they said. Faulty wiring, wrong place, wrong time. But the investigators, they had looked at me differently, too differently. Ramirez, the lead then, questioned me for hours, asking the same questions over and over. Why were you there? Who else was there? Why did you run out alone? He seemed obsessed with the idea that I saw someone or did something that I wasn't admitting. But I hadn't been lying. I didn't know what I saw inside that house. A shadow, a silhouette, a figure moving too fast to identify, a voice that didn't belong to her, a door slamming before the flames swallowed everything. When I told Ramirez this, he stared at me with something colder than disbelief, something like fear disguised as anger, and the next morning, I ran, not because I was guilty, but because I finally realized the fire wasn't the accident everyone claimed. Someone had been there, someone who didn't want to be seen, someone who wanted her gone, someone powerful enough to twist the investigation, and Ramirez had been protecting them. The thought made my stomach turn even now. Decades later, walking through the woods like a ghost retracing footsteps I wished I could forget, I reached a clearing where the trees thinned. From there I could see the rusty, skeletal remains of the old Ridgewood water tower rising above the tree line. Nearby, partially swallowed by vines and thyme, was the path that led to the abandoned cabins near the lake. I hesitated. That place held the last piece of my life before it shattered. That was where she and I used to meet, where we carved our initials into a rotting bench, where she'd given me the necklace I now carried, and where, on that final night, she told me she had discovered something dangerous, something about someone we both trusted, something that scared her so much she couldn't speak it out loud. I'd begged her to tell me. She had cried and shaken her head. I'm not safe, she whispered, and neither are you. I made my way down the overgrown trail toward the cabins. My shoes crunched on dried twigs. A crow cawed overhead. The air felt thick with memory. When I reached the clearing, I froze. One cabin, the one we used, had a new lock on the door. A modern lock, too new, too clean. Someone had been here recently. My pulse quickened. I approached cautiously, every nerve on fire. The door was scratched near the handle, like someone had forced it open. The grass beside the steps was flattened, fresh footprints leading inside. Against my better judgment, I pushed the door. It creaked open with a long, miserable groan. The air inside was cold, stale, and dust floated like ash in the faint sunbeam slicing through a broken window. My eyes scanned the room. Empty shelves, old furniture covered in cloth. But then on the table I saw it. A photograph. Recent. Of me, taken outside the diner. Today. My knees nearly buckled. Someone had been following me long before the stranger appeared. Someone had taken photos. Someone had been inside this cabin waiting, watching. My breath turned ragged. I backed away slowly, my instincts screaming to run, but my heel hit something on the floor. A box, small, metal, dented, with my name etched on the top. Not Robert. Not Robin Williams. My real name. My birth name. The name I hadn't spoken in 33 years. My hand shook as I knelt and opened it. Inside was a cassette tape. A single one, labeled in trembling handwriting I would recognize anywhere. For Robin, if they find you, play this. My heart slammed. It was her voice. Her handwriting. She'd known someone would come. That someone would hunt me. that someone would erase everything. My fingers fumbled to find the cabin's old tape player, the one we used as kids, long forgotten under a cloth. Shockingly, it still worked when I plugged it in. I slid the tape in and pressed play. For a moment, only static filled the room. Then her voice, trembling, scared, whispering like she was hiding as she recorded it. "Robin, if you're hearing this, then I didn't make it." My chest caved in. I gripped the table to stay upright. "You weren't wrong that night. Someone was in the house. Someone powerful. Someone who knew what I found. I tried to warn you, but I couldn't say it. Not out loud. Not safely. They hear everything. They watch everything." The hairs on my arms stood up. "I didn't die in the fire by accident. They said it. They tried to kill me. And if you were there a minute longer, they would have killed you, too." Tears blurred my vision. I saw something I wasn't supposed to. Something that could ruin them. Someone we both trusted. Someone who works with Ramirez. A click. A door slammed in the background of the tape. Her breathing sped up. "I left the proof somewhere safe. Somewhere only you would look. You'll know when you see it. And Robin, you weren't alone that night." My heart stopped. There was someone else at the house. Someone who tried to help me. Someone who dragged you out before the fire swallowed the hallway. Someone I trusted. Her voice broke into a sob. "He's alive. He's looking for you. Don't run from him." Then silence. The tape clicked off. I stared at the player, hands shaking violently. She hadn't died alone. Someone had saved me. Someone who vanished afterward. Someone who had been searching for me all these years. The stranger, it had to be. He wasn't threatening me. He was trying to warn me. And whoever set the fire, whoever erased my life, whoever Ramirez was protecting, they were still out there. Suddenly, branches snapped outside. Heavy footsteps approached the cabin, not one pair. Three voices, low, urgent. They had found me. I grabbed the tape, the box, the photo, and slipped out the back window just as the cabin door slammed open behind me. As I disappeared into the trees, one thought thundered louder than my heartbeat. She didn't die because she found the truth. She died because of who the truth was about, and now they wanted me next.